Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of A Bird's Eye View. My name is Endeavor, once again your humble host. Our game this time is a simulator Kerbal Space Program. Developed and published by Squad, this game came out of early access in April of 2015. Let's take a look at the finished product. As a simulation game, Kerbal Space Program doesn't have a real story to speak of. The player is tasked with running a NASA-like organization made up of accident-prone green people called Kerbals. Administrator duties include everything from securing funding, designing ships, and even personally piloting space shuttles, all the while trying to keep your astronauts alive long enough to go on more than one mission. The game is a charmingly simple atmosphere, with unobtrusive, upbeat music to keep the mood light. Most of the engine is dedicated to simulating complex physics, so the art is fairly plain. The graphical limitations are fine, since the ultimate purpose of the game is to tinker around with creative spaceship crafting. Kerbal Space Program includes a few game modes. The primary way to play is called Career Mode, which unpacks the game slowly, constantly giving the player new challenges to beat in order to unlock more things with which to play. Sandbox, which used to be the main game, gives the player all the unlockable ship parts to use right off the bat. Finally, there's Science Mode, which includes missions and tasks like Career Mode, but without some of the more managerial duties like worrying about funding. The controls, while not simple, are consistent enough, and they can be rebound for ease of use. There were so many controls and commands to remember that I had to reference the options menu frequently, but the game doesn't punish the player for doing so. There are games with annoyingly overzealous tutorials that constantly remind the player how to do things. Kerbal Space Program is not one of those. Quite honestly, while the tutorials are comprehensive, they throw so much technical jargon and complex concepts at the player that the tutorials feel inadequate. This game doesn't hold your hand, and I'm left with the impression that the player is expected to crash and burn a few times before getting it. One part of the game that sorely needed further explanation was the Career Mode. The game tells you that you need to launch missions and conduct research to earn science, a sort of currency for unlocking upgrades, but almost no effort was made explaining how one conducts research. I learned more about how to play from wikis and online guides than I did from the game itself. There were only a few bugs which I encountered during my time. When building, there were a few times when the ship pieces wouldn't attach to the spacecraft how I wanted them to. Fixing the issue involved saving my work and reloading, which wasn't a big deal, but it happened often enough to warrant a mention here. A few times, I had a problem where ship pieces that were meant to separate during flight wouldn't cooperate, dooming my ship and mission to an explosive end. Despite the issues I had with the game, I think it was masterfully put together. Nothing beats the feeling of finally getting your ship out of the atmosphere for the first time, and the accomplishments don't stop there. Once you've broken the speed and altitude records, it's time to orbit the planet Kerbal, and then try landing a ship on the moon. Learning to manage limited fuel supplies and using gravitational pull to slingshot around planets and moons is fascinatingly complex, yet the satisfaction in learning all the ins and outs of space travel make it a worthwhile endeavor. The game's retail price is $39.99. With all the features and science-based entertainment, I recommend Kerbal Space Program for anyone that loves building and discovery. It's currently available on Steam and Good Old Games for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It is also available for PS4. That concludes my review for Kerbal Space Program. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed my video. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at Rookery Gamers for Let's Plays and additional reviews.